Now to a remarkable story. A passenger with no flying experience has pulled off a textbook landing in the US after being caught up in a terrifying mid-air emergency. Let's go to Tim Lester in America. Tim, I reckon every person has dreamt of doing this or had a nightmare about it. How'd he do it?
Well, he followed number one rule in the book, I think, Koshi. That is, he did not panic. He was very calm, and you'll hear that in his exchange with air traffic control. But he also had one big element of luck. The air traffic controllers he contacted happened to contain in their team 2 flight instructors, exactly the people he needed to quite literally talk him down. A terrifying ordeal in the skies over Florida. A passenger forced to land a plane when the pilot suffered a medical emergency.
I've got a serious situation here. My pilot has gone incoherent.
The single-engine Cessna 208 with 2 people on board was just off the Florida coast. The flight going to plan until the passenger realised there was something wrong with the pilot. Then a dramatic exchange with air traffic control asking what to do next.
No idea how to fly the airplane.
Roger, what's your position?
I have no idea. I can see the coast of Florida in front of me, and I have no idea.
Using a diagram of the Cessna's cockpit, the air traffic controller coached the passenger and the plane down.
Try to hold the wings level and see if you can start descending for me.
Yeah, I'm descending right now at 550 feet a minute.
Maintain wings level and just try to follow the coast, either north or southbound. We're trying to locate you.
Eventually, after a nail-biting few minutes, a textbook touchdown.
Man, they did a great job.
Did you say the passengers landed the airplane?
That's correct.
Oh my gosh, yeah, no, great job.
No flying experience.
I knew the plane's flying like any other plane. I just had to keep them calm, point him to the runway, and just tell him how to reduce the power so he could descend to land.
The 2 men met on the tarmac, saying they hugged it out, grateful for a miracle landing. It's one of those things air traffic control never wants to hear. I have no idea how to fly the aeroplane, Koshi.
Gee, it gives us all hope that we can turn those nightmares into a dream, doesn't it? All right. Thank you, Tim.
Don't you know that life is just a game that you play? Win or lose, it's all the same.
Open your eyes, you better look before you leave. Take heed and watch the signs of life, don't play cheap.
The wheel of fortune just may take its toll. Be a gambler, play your ace in the hole.
You never know, you might wind up way ahead. Shoot your best shot, take a little chance before you're dead. Take a little chance, it don't mean nothing. Sometimes you win, sometimes you lose. Take a little chance, it don't mean nothing. Sometimes you win, sometimes you lose. Take a little chance, it don't mean nothing. Sometimes you win, sometimes you lose.
Look at that miraculous landing at Palm Beach International Airport.
A passenger forced to take over the controls after the pilot suffered a medical emergencies. We want to show exclusive video that shows the moment that passenger with no sort of flight experience was able to touch down successfully. He was able to do so safely with a careful instruction from an air traffic controller who we actually caught up with right after that safe landing.
Wow, this story is something. I want to go to Suji Nam. She's live this morning. So Suji, the air traffic controller says he wasn't even supposed to be at work yesterday, but thank goodness he was there.
Yeah, Mark, good morning. Well, the air traffic controller tells us that he switched his shift with somebody else, and that's why he was at work, ending up saving someone else's life. Robert Morgan tells us that he was on his break outside the air traffic control tower when he was reading a book, and he found out there was a passenger with no flight experience trying to land safely. Morgan tells us he has never flown that specific model, a Cessna Grand Caravan, so he used a picture of a cockpit to better understand what the passenger was working with. Morgan tells us he worked 20 years in tower control and is also a flight instructor.
I knew the plane's flying like any other plane. I just had to keep him calm, point him to the runway, and just tell him how to reduce the power so he could descend to land. It felt really good to help somebody, and he told me that he was going to go home tonight to see his pregnant wife.
I mean, truly a miracle. After the passenger landed, Morgan said he and the passenger met up and hugged it out. Reporting live in West Palm Beach, I'm Suji Nam for WPBF 25 News.
Now to a wild story that sounds like it's straight out of a movie. A pilot having a medical emergency, the one and only passenger telling crews on the ground, "I don't know how to land this plane." ABC's Victor Oquendo has what happens next.
This chilling call to air traffic control over West Palm Beach coming just after noon.
I've got a serious situation here. My pilot has gone incoherent. I have no idea how to fly the airplane.
Two people on board the 12-seat single-engine Cessna coming from the Bahamas. The pilot suffering some kind of medical emergency.
Number 333 Lima Delta, roger. What's your position?
I have no idea. I can see the coast of Florida in front of me, and I have no idea.
Sources tell ABC News the controller involved happens to be a certified flight instructor with Cessna experience.
Number 3 Lima Delta, no problem. Just continue to stay wings level, maintain 5,000, and follow the coast, and we're going to try to find you here on the radar.
First, they had to track the plane down. Then, the hard part.
I have no idea how to stop the airplane.
Our affiliate WPBF getting this exclusive video of the plane miraculously landing safely.
Did you say the passengers landed the airplane?
That's correct.
Oh my gosh, yeah, no, great job.
No flying experience.
The person on the airplane who had no aeronautical experience listened very carefully and obviously followed instructions with great calm. That's what made the difference.
That was Victor Oquendo reporting. The pilot was taken to the hospital and the FAA is now investigating. Hello, I'm Mark Brown. Get more great ABC 7.
Passenger with no flight experience landed that small plane in Florida on Tuesday after the pilot suffered a medical emergency.
Right out of the movies, right? Well, he pulled off the feat thanks to an expert who was on the ground. He was an air traffic controller. He guided him through the process of safely bringing in the Cessna, and just wait until you see how he did it.
Meet Robert Morgan, a father of 3 and now a certified hero.
I just feel like it was probably meant to happen.
It was around 12:30 Tuesday when Robert, an air traffic controller, was outside the tower reading a book on a break.
There's a passenger flying a plane that's not a pilot, and the pilot's incapacitated. So they said, we need to try to help them land the plane.
He was definitely the man for the job. In addition to his 20 years in tower control, he's also a flight instructor with around 1,200 hours under his belt.
Plane's flying like any other plane. I just had to keep him calm, point him to the runway, and just tell him how to reduce the power so he could descend to land.
He had never flown this specific model, a Cessna Grand Caravan, so he used this picture of the cockpit to understand the specifics the novice was working with.
I said, all right, we're going to get you to a runway. What do you see now? And he was just passing the shoreline near Boca.
This is an actual video of the flight path of the plane after he took over at 5,000 feet.
Before I knew it, he's like, I'm on the ground. How do I turn this thing off?
Together, Morgan and the passenger had pulled off the impossible. And of course, they met on the tarmac and hugged it out.
It felt really good to help somebody. And he told me that he was going to go home tonight to see his pregnant wife.
And I bet you there was a hug there, too, for sure. Officials haven't released the name of the passenger or the pilot. The FAA is still investigating that incident, but wow. Incredible.
Only ones who had an opportunity to speak with the air traffic controller after that incident. This is the guy that helped him with
Morgan
that
said
landing.
he originally went to school to be a pilot. After today, he's going to get that plan back on track. Live in the studio, Tara Jagway, WPBF 25 News.
You say the passengers landed the airplane?
That's correct.
Oh my gosh, yeah, no, great job.
First on WPBF 25 News, exclusive video showing that moment a passenger with no flight training landed a plane safely at Palm Beach International Airport after the pilot suffered a medical emergency. The flight was scheduled to go from the Bahamas to Fort Pierce. The big question 24 hours later, who is the man who avoided disaster and brought that plane down safely? Flight instructors say the passenger's ability to remain calm made all the difference. Good evening. I'm Tiffany Kenny.
And I'm Felicia Rodriguez. Thank you for joining us. Our Steve King is live for us at PBIA with reaction from a flight instructor who has flown this exact type of aircraft and where the investigation stands tonight. Steve?
Felicia, well, experts say it was nothing short of a miracle when that man with zero flight experience was able to land a single-engine plane here at Palm Beach International Airport. Now, the owner of a local flight academy says he's flown that exact model of plane, the Cessna 208 Caravan, and he says those planes are very hard to control, especially under those circumstances.
It's a heavy plane. It's an aircraft that with a significant amount of power. Could be a handful for somebody that doesn't know that they haven't even touched it before.
Thomas Bueno, a 20-year flight instructor and the CEO of Sky Blue Jet Aviation, says the man who jumped in to land the plane had to be incredibly poised just to know how to work the radio in the first place.
In order to talk, you have on the yoke, on the control wheel, you have a switch that says push to talk. You have the headset, you have a mic, and you press the push to talk, and somebody on the other side of the frequency, they're going to respond.
Bueno says that person on the other side needed to have incredible poise as well to be able to guide a complete beginner pilot in for a safe landing. Here's the flight audio from air traffic control in Fort Pierce when the passenger radioed in after the pilot had a medical emergency.
I've got a serious situation here. My pilot has gone incoherent. I have no idea how to fly the airplane.
Roger, what's your position?
I have no idea. I can see the coast of Florida in front of me, and I have no idea.
Maintain wings level and just try to follow the coast, either north or southbound. We're trying to locate you.
WPBF's exclusive video captures the moment the plane touches down safely at PBIA. Bueno calls it a perfect landing.
Most people would have not probably be able to handle it the way that this particular person did it. I'm pretty impressed with the guy on the outcome and how it just came to a perfect stop, and the phenomenal work that the ATC did with him. Clearly, they showed the good training that we give to our controllers to handle this situation and bring that aircraft safely to the ground.
Now, Bueno says that the Cessna 208 Caravan indeed does not require a co-pilot. We also have reached out to local law enforcement to find out the condition of the pilot who had that medical emergency, but we're still waiting to hear back. Reporting live from PBIA, Steve King, WPBF 25 News.
I've got a serious situation here. My pilot has gone incoherent. I have no idea how to fly the airplane.
First at 5, a pilot has a medical emergency while flying off the coast of South Florida. An air traffic controller then instructs a passenger how to continue flying and safely land at Palm Beach International Airport. Good evening. I'm Tiffany Kenny.
And I'm Felicia Rodriguez. Thank you for joining us. The emergency situation unfolded on board the single-engine Cessna Caravan around 12:30 this afternoon. And we have team coverage of the tense moments in the air today and the quick thinking that helped prevent a crash.
We begin with Ari Height live outside PBIA with the critical communication between that passenger and air traffic controllers. Ari.
I have no idea how to fly this airplane. That is what the passenger first said when he first made contact with air traffic control. It is absolutely amazing that he was able to get this plane on the ground safely with no injuries. Let me go ahead now and show you what that looked like. That was around 12:30 this afternoon here at Palm Beach International Airport. The minutes before 12:30, well, those were harrowing just to say the least. The man on board the plane radioed to air traffic control that he had a, quote, serious situation. His pilot was incoherent and he had no idea how to fly the plane. So air traffic control, of course, tried to help.
Maintain wings level and just try to follow the coast, either north or southbound. We're trying to locate you.
You guys located me yet? I can't even get my nav screen to turn on. It has all the information on it. You guys got any ideas on that?
At one point, air traffic control asked the man where he is. He tells them he has no idea. All he knows is he can see the coast of Florida. They eventually did locate him just east of Boca Raton. And again, he did eventually land safely at Palm Beach International Airport. And again, nobody was injured. It's unclear right now what happened to the pilot. That is also part of the investigation, and the FAA is doing that investigation. So how amazing is it that a person with no flying experience was able to put that plane on the ground? Well, my colleague Terry Parker picks up our team coverage with more on that. Terry?
Nothing short of a miracle. That's what a local JetBlue pilot who was landing at PBIA right behind the small plane tells me. Justin Delmelin says the single-engine turbine plane is fairly sophisticated, and he can't believe the flight controllers were able to talk the passenger through not only recovering from the plane's dive, but stabilizing it and then landing it safely at PBIA.
The level of difficulty that this person, had to deal with in terms of having zero flight time to fly and land a, single engine turbine aircraft is absolutely incredible. The incredible part is it's not just flying the aircraft. It's obviously, the most difficult thing, which is, configuring the aircraft for approach and landing, and then landing it. And that to me is just, something that for a zero time pilot, and, I remember my earlier days when I first started, flight training. I mean, I was white knuckled and sweating for the first probably 10 hours of flight training.
Justin says he heard that one of the flight controllers was a flight instructor and was able to print out a layout of that type of plane's cockpit and then guide the passenger through the buttons and the steps and the levers of flying and landing the plane. And Justin says it was lucky it was daylight so the passenger at the controls could see where he was going, because it would have been extremely difficult if it had been at night or foggy. Terry Parker, WPBF 25 News.
First at 11, new exclusive video just into our newsroom minutes ago. Our clearest picture yet of the landing, pulled off by that passenger with absolutely no flight experience, who grabbed the controls and landed the plane in West Palm Beach when the pilot had a medical emergency mid-flight over the ocean.
Incredible. Tonight, for the first time, you will hear from the air traffic controller who made it all possible. Good evening. I'm Felicia Rodriguez.
Todd McDermott, thanks for joining us here at 11. Getting through those very tense moments took steady nerves, teamwork, and careful instruction from the Jupiter man, who was only at work today by chance.
We have team coverage for you tonight of this mid-air emergency. Our Tara Jakeway just wrapped up an interview with that air traffic controller, who is nothing short of phenomenal. We
begin with Ari Haidt, who has the timeline of the incredible landing. Ari?
And I heard somebody earlier today refer to this gentleman as a passenger pilot, and I'm pretty sure that's not supposed to be a real thing. But it was today, and somehow that passenger pilot with zero flight experience got that plane on the ground safely.
This is not your ordinary landing of a plane.
You just witnessed a couple passengers land that plane.
That voice is air traffic control at Palm Beach International Airport.
Did you say the passengers landed the airplane?
That's correct.
Oh my gosh, no, great job.
Great job doesn't begin to describe this. The landing of this Cessna Caravan comes at 12:30 Tuesday afternoon at PBIA. But let's rewind a little to when the person on board this plane first radioed air traffic control in Fort Pierce.
I've got a serious situation here. My pilot has gone incoherent. I have no idea how to fly the airplane.
Roger, what's your position?
I have no idea. I can see the coast of Florida in front of me, and I have no idea.
Maintain wings level and just try to follow the coast, either north or southbound. We're trying to locate you.
4 minutes later.
You guys located me yet? I can't even get my nav screen to turn on. It has all the information on it. You guys got any ideas on that?
Eventually, radar locates the plane just off the coast of Boca Raton, and that's where air traffic control at PBIA takes over, talking the passenger through an incredibly safe landing.
This is the first time I've ever heard of one of these being landed by somebody who has no aeronautical experience.
Aviation expert John Nance says it's not the first time he's heard of a passenger landing a plane, but it is the first time for a plane as large and as complicated as the Caravan.
The person on the airplane who had no aeronautical experience listened very carefully and obviously followed instructions with great calm. That's what made the difference.
It's absolutely amazing. At this point, the name of that passenger has not yet been released, nor has the name of the pilot who suffered the medical emergency. We do know that pilot was taken to the hospital, but we do not know the pilot's condition. As of right now, the FAA is investigating. We're live tonight. Ari Haidt, WPBF 25 News.